I never imagined my heart would betray me in the middle of math class. There he was, leaning back in his chair with that infuriating smirk, and somehow my chest tightened like I'd swallowed a brick. "You still staring? Or are you planning to solve the problem too?" he asked, voice dripping with mockery. I shot him a glare, the kind that was supposed to scream, "I hate you," but my lips betrayed me with a reluctant twitch. Lucas always had that effect, the effortless way he commanded a room, or maybe it was just me because no matter how much I tried to hate him, I felt like a moth to a flame every single time. We had been rivals since freshman year. Debate competitions, track races, even the stupidest cafeteria games we competed, and we always tried to pretend like we were strictly rivals, strictly straight, strictly untouchable. Everyone bought it. Everyone except us. Started small. Accidental touches when reaching for a textbook, brushing shoulders in the hallway, brief but loaded glances during team practice. Then came the late-night study sessions for the grade, which somehow ended with me sitting too close to him on the couch, the faint scent of his cologne mixing with the smell of my own nervous sweat. Tonight was supposed to be another normal study night. Just me, Lucas, and a pile of calculus problems I had no intention of finishing. But the way he leaned over to point at the textbook, his fingers brushing mine ever so slightly, felt like an electric shock that traveled straight to my stomach. "You're really slow at this," he said, grinning, his dark eyes catching the faint glow of my desk lamp. "I'm not slow," I shot back, trying to sound irritated. "I just think differently than you." "Different?" he repeated softly, leaning a little closer, so close that I could feel the warmth radiating off him. "Or maybe, you just like making me frustrated." I froze. My mind screamed at me to pull away, but my body didn't listen. And then he did something I hadn't expected. He whispered my name, so softly I barely heard it, yet it felt louder than anything in the room. "Ethan." The sound of it, coming from him in that tone, was like a key turning in a lock I didn't even know existed. My heart beat fast, threatening to escape my chest, and I realized with shocking clarity that I'd been pretending this rivalry was all I felt for far too long. Lucas smiled, a little nervously now, as if he knew he had crossed an invisible line. "Stop overthinking," he said, his voice lower this time. And then, before I could respond or even breathe properly, I leaned in. His lips met mine. Not aggressively, not with that teasing smirk, but gently, almost hesitantly, as if he was afraid I might vanish if he kissed too hard. My body reacted before my brain could catch up. My hands found their way to his shoulders, his arms wrapped around my waist, and the room melted into this private bubble where the world outside didn't exist. I wanted to scream, laugh, cry all at the same time, but no sound came out. All that existed was him, the warmth of his lips, the softness of his touch, and the undeniable truth I'd been trying to deny for years. I wanted him, maybe more than I had ever wanted anything. When we finally pulled back, just enough to breathe, he rested his forehead against mine and whispered, "I've wanted this for so long." I laughed, half in relief, half in disbelief, because all my life I thought I was just competing with him. Turns out, I was competing with my own heart, and I'd lost, gloriously, utterly, and without regret. We stayed like that for a long moment, just holding each other, letting the world fade away. Then Lucas pulled back slightly, just enough to look into my eyes, a small, almost shy smile playing on his lips. "So, what does this mean now?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. I laughed softly, a little breathless, feeling lighter than I had in years. "I guess it means we stop pretending," I said. "We stop pretending that we're rivals. Stop pretending that we're straight. Stop pretending everything is simple when it's not." He nodded, as if relieved, as if he'd been holding his breath for years just waiting for me to say that. "Yeah," he murmured. "We can be us. Finally." There was a strange, beautiful vulnerability in the way he said it, and I wanted to memorize every expression on his face. The way his dark eyes softened when he smiled, the tiny crease at the corner of his lips, the warmth radiating off him that seemed to make the entire apartment glow. From that night on, everything changed. School, friends, competitions, they didn't matter as much anymore. What mattered was us, figuring out what it meant to be more than rivals, more than friends, more than just two guys pretending. It wasn't always easy. There were awkward moments, stolen glances in the cafeteria, whispered jokes in the hallway that made us both laugh until we snorted, the occasional tension when one of us felt insecure. But every kiss, every touch, every laugh made it all worth it. I remember the first time we held hands in public. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. But Lucas just grinned, squeezed my fingers, and whispered, "Finally." And it was finally letting go of the walls we built around ourselves, finally acknowledging what had been there all along, finally living instead of pretending. The following weeks were a whirlwind of small, intimate moments that felt monumental in their simplicity. Late-night walks under the flickering streetlights of New York, sharing a single slice of pizza while arguing over which movie to watch, laughing at each other's terrible jokes, and sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence, hands intertwined, hearts sinking without words. One night, as we sat on the fire escape overlooking the city, Lucas rested his head on my shoulder. "Do you ever think about how ridiculous we were?" he asked, voice soft, almost conspiratorial. I chuckled, nuzzling his hair. "Every single day. I think about how stubborn we were, how much time we wasted pretending, and how much I wanted to punch you every time you smirked at me in class." He laughed, a warm, genuine sound that made my chest ache with happiness. And yet, here we are. Still a little stubborn, still a little ridiculous, but together. The word felt magical, simple yet powerful. It was everything I wanted, everything I had been too scared to admit, everything I had been hoping for without knowing it. By the end of senior year, our friendship turned romance had become the most natural thing in the world. Teachers winked knowingly when we passed notes in class. Our friends teased us endlessly, but it didn't matter. We had each other, and that was enough. On graduation day, as we tossed our caps into the sky, Lucas grabbed my hand, pulling me close. "Promise me something?" he asked, his eyes glinting with mischief and affection. "Anything," I said, already smiling. "Promise me we'll never go back to pretending," he whispered. "No more masks, no more games. Just us, facing whatever comes next, together." I leaned in, pressing my forehead to his, heart thundering, and whispered, "I promise." And in that moment, with the city sprawling beneath us and the future stretching wide and unknown, I realized something simple, something beautiful. Rivalry had been just the beginning. The teasing, the tension, the mock battles, they were the prelude to something far deeper, far more powerful. Love. Genuine, unguarded, fearless love. We walked off the stage hand in hand, smiling at each other, knowing the journey ahead wouldn't always be easy. But as long as we had this each other, laughter, kisses, whispered confessions, and late-night embrace could face anything. And that, somehow, made every ridiculous rivalry, every frustrated glare, every whispered tease worth it. Lucas leaned closer, brushing a soft kiss over my lips. "I guess we really were meant to be rivals. And more." I laughed, shaking my head, heart swelling. "More than rivals," I said. "Much, much more." And that was just the beginning. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.